Evening, Atma Namaste, and welcome to the session. We are studying the book Man and His Bodies by Annie Besant. Somehow not getting the focus on this Man and His Bodies, right? So we were on page 72, correct? Page 72. All right, very good. So one reminder, the ebook is available where the page numbers have been exactly matched to the printed book, the book that I am using. उसके साथ पेज नंबर्स को मैच कर दिया है. So you are welcome to use that. It's available on the website, on our blog. You can download it from there. We have also posted in the group. If you still missed it, just message us and we will, maybe Astha ko या मेरे को आप message कीजिए. Then we will send you the modified ebook copy. All right. So we had completed page 72. Or actually we had just looked at it. I think we discussed a little bit about it. I'll just read a line, page 72 in the middle, there is a big paragraph. Somewhere in the later part, the bridge shall be made which lets the memory cross from the one to the other without effort, so that the man returning from his activities in the astral world will put on again his physical vesture. Vesture means, clothing or dress or, covering, something like that, without a moment's loss of consciousness. Now, this here, Madam Besant has in before this, she has been talking about that for most of us or for the ordinary people, when our consciousness shifts, when we sleep. So normally when we are, what is called awake, then our consciousness is largely operating through the physical body, mostly. And so much so that when the physical body goes to sleep, when we say कि मैं सोने जा रहा हूँ, yeah, I am sleeping. Now you, the soul, is not sleeping. It is only the physical body that is sleeping. So at that time, when the physical body is asleep, the soul shifts into the astral body. This is what we had read in the last session. If you missed the last session, please look at the recording or go through the recording. You will get the discussion there. So, when that happens, there is a break in our normal consciousness. So, let's say I went to sleep at 11 o'clock. So, until 11, I am conscious, I'm awake, everything that is happening around me, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, and so on. Then the body goes to sleep. Because my consciousness is limited to the body, now except for the dreams, I don't have any consciousness anymore. Until I wake up, let's say in the morning at 6:30, I wake up and again my consciousness begins. So there is like a break in the consciousness. Now, what she's telling us in this paragraph is that as we evolve spiritually, as we purify our astral body, as we, develop our abilities, a bridge forms so that even when the physical body is sleeping, the soul is still active. And it is discussed how, we had actually discussed it in a couple of sessions, how to make it more productive. Now, activity is going on. The soul is active when the physical body is sleeping, but the physical brain is not registering. So that is the first step. Now, at a later step, and especially, Master has given the Arhatic Kundalini meditation, which is to there to accelerate the development of the physical brain. So as you do that, during your waking consciousness, you have flashes of what you saw or experienced during your sleep. Sleep meaning physical body sleeping, soul still active in the astral plane, astral and higher planes. So the physical brain may suddenly get a flash during waking hours that, oh yes, I think I attended this class, I think I learned this, oh I think somebody told me this. Yeah. And after some time, now here she tells us that karma is involved. When karma permits. So karma is involved. Based on our karma, it may we finally come to a stage where our consciousness is unbroken. It is not restricted to the physical awakened state. Even when the physical body is sleeping, we are fully conscious of what activity is going on at the astral level and at the higher levels. So it's like an unbroken consciousness. There's no break. So we go to sleep, but we are still conscious. Okay, in my astral body, now I have shifted. Now I am going place so and so. I am attending this class. I am reading this book. I am talking to person so and so, etc., etc. And then the physical body wakes up and it just continues. It is a continuum. There is no break. Yeah. Let's read the last, the last para on page 72. This is the certainty that lies before those who choose the life of service. She means the spiritual path. They will one day acquire this unbroken consciousness, and then to them, life shall no longer be composed of days of memoried work and nights of oblivion. Days of memoried work meaning doing things that we can remember, and night of oblivion. Oblivion means unconscious or not unaware. So as a it will not happen that day you are aware and night you are no longer aware. But it will be a continuous whole, the body put aside to take its necessary rest, while the man here meaning the soul, himself uses the astral body for his work on in the astral world. Yeah, this is what we had been talking about. Now the same paragraph, let's come to the later part. The body is only a garment to wear, put on and take off at pleasure, and not a necessary instrument of thought and life. They will know that so far from its being necessary to either, life is far more active, thought more untrammeled. Untrammeled means unlimited, unrestricted, without it. So, without the physical body, you slowly realize that you are far more productive, you are far more aware, you are far more alive. One can say that. So also, what now she goes on to explain to us. I won't read that part, but you can understand that as we do that, we, through first-hand experience, we get a greater understanding of the role and the limitations of the physical body. Secondly, more important, we start to realize how much of life, how vast life or reality exists beyond the physical plane. You see, normally our conception of the world is limited to what we see, feel, or hear, or touch, or, what the senses, physical senses tell us. But once we get to the stage where we are fully conscious and active at the astral plane, we realize that the physical plane is only a small part of a much bigger world. Yeah. And, this is one of my early realizations in pranic healing, where I realized, I started getting this sense that, what we are, the normal life is actually very small part. There is much more beyond that. All right, page 74. So then she is explaining about astral travel. Yeah. And I'm sorry, on page 75, she's now talking about astral travel. Before that, on page 74, she's again continuing to discuss the benefits and consequences of spiritual development. We understand more about life, especially about the inner world, about the spiritual path. When you are more active at the astral plane, when you are free of the physical body, free not in the sense of death, but in the sense of not being limited, where your consciousness is not limited by the physical body, you understand more about life, especially about the inner world, about the spiritual path. And even your understanding of the physical body, the physical world, and the phenomena of death, that improves. That is what she has explained in on page 74. On page 75, she is talking about astral travel. And then she touches upon the phenomena called materialization. So if you are fond of reading spiritual books, for example, autobiography of a yogi, there are many mentions of very advanced yogis who are doing travel. Their physical body is in one place, but they appear somewhere else. How do they appear? The soul with some bodies travels there, and then it takes up etheric or even physical particles, gets a temporary body. So it's called a materialization. It is like that person is right in front of you. But in fact, the physical body, the true physical body of that person is somewhere else, maybe in another continent, maybe thousands of miles away. And even in origin of modern pranic in healing and arahatic yoga, there are some examples about that. I remember one clear example where somebody talks about Mang Mike, or I think Master talks about Mang Mike, who was, so read the book, And even I've heard stories about Master Choa. I remember one of the acharyas very clearly, in a very detailed manner, he explained how he once had a materialization of Master Choa. Master Choa is in another city, hundreds of miles away. This person is somewhere else, kind of, becoming very afraid and so on. And Master Choa appears and tells him that, don't worry, I am here to take care of you, or something like that. So, this is a phenomena well known by the spiritual students and practiced by the highly evolved souls. Yeah, let's turn the page 76. Now, I hope you will tell me to read some portions. I'm not, in the next few pages, I'm not going to read a lot. So on page 76, she is talking about a phenomena called temporary clairvoyance, where she says that this temporary clairvoyance comes up when your nervous system is strained and your pranic body, the etheric double is very depleted. Master Choa has explained this phenomena. He's talked about it in the Advanced Pranic Healing book, but he has really explained it in the psychotherapy book and course, where he's related it to the protective web. Yeah. Then she talks about, gives an example of a mother whose son is in difficulty. She is constantly thinking about, so she is able to astrally connect to the son. And I, I, I'm sure some of us have also had similar experiences. You were really thinking about some person, that person called you, or you were thinking about some person, or some person was really remembering you, maybe in difficulty, and you had that insight that maybe this person is in difficulty, and you did something about it. Yeah. Then she talks about people who have died. And again, we have many stories, of people seeing somebody in their family or some close friend who has died recently, and that person is communicating. Sometimes they are communicating very important messages. Look, so at in place so and so on. Many temples you hear about where the priest was sleeping and he had this dream where somebody came and said, go to that tree, dig under that tree, you will find my statue, and things like that. So there, then eventually a big temple has come up. All right, page 77 to 81. Now that we will discuss, I'm not going to read very much from that unless you want me to. If you point me to something, we can discuss that. So I'll just give you a summary of what I understood from page 77 to page 81. So what she's saying is she's describing what happens after death. Yeah. And this is something that, Theosophy has really explained in great detail. I mean, not so much in this book, but in many other books, it has been explained in great detail. And even Master in the Soul book has talked about this in fair amount of detail. So she explains that when the physical body is dropped off, that's what death is, right? Our what we call death is usually the physical body being discarded. So when it is discarded, when it is dropped off, at that time the astral body rearranges itself. You remember the astral body, the has particles at many different planes. There are 7 subplanes of the astral plane. There are 7 planes. One of them is the astral plane. In the astral plane, there are 7 subplanes. Now, normally these particles are intermingled. But when the physical body dies, apparently the particles of the astral body rearrange themselves and they form layers, concentric layers or shells. I think the word she uses here is shells. And they are separate. They are not interpenetrating each other. They are separate. So layer, and the densest layer is outside. So that, let's call it layer number 7. So 7, then 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, 2, 1. And inside is the most inner one is the layer 1, and the outermost is the densest layer 7. Now, eventually, before a reincarnation, the astral body also has to die. That also has to be discarded. So, apparently, it happens layer by layer. One by one, each layer is shed, or let us say disintegrated. So, let's say there are 7, the body has just died. The soul is now in the astral plane, and there are 7. So it is, the soul is caught in the most dense. When that disintegrates, it moves to the next one, that is from 7 to 6. And then when this disintegrates, it goes to the next one, and then to the next one, then to the next one. Eventually, all the planes are, or the entire astral body, all the layers are discarded, and then the soul shifts into what in this book is called the Devanchik plane. Devanchik, the word means the plane of the Devas. So it's a place of immense or complete bliss and peace. What we normally call heaven. This process of discarding is sometimes painful. It's the astral body. So astral body is where all our emotions, all our, pain and pleasure and so on, they are felt. So because, we can have very strong passions, which we have developed during the life of the physical body. As we were living in the world, we may have developed some very strong passions, very strong attachments, addictions, or some things like that. Now, when for them to be because they are now all in our astral body, especially most of them are on the densest, the layer 1. So, when that disintegrates, it can be quite painful. It's not blissful, it is the opposite. Because you form these attachments. Now, it is painful for those attachments to be given up. Yeah. So that is what is sometimes referred to as hell. Hell, you've heard descriptions of hell. Now, those are all derived from this time when we are being forced to let go of our strong attachments and addictions and passions and so on. And we are being forced, actually. It is because they are attachments. We want to hold on to them. But, there is no choice. We have to let go. How much time it takes for one layer to shed depends on the quantity of matter in that plane of the astral body. I'm just summarizing points from the pages that I talked about. It now brings us to the importance of purification during our physical life, during our, normal so-called life. That is where we have the tools, the opportunities to practice vairagya, or, dispassionate detachment. That is where we can learn to let go of all our attachments. If not let go, at least weaken our attachments, our addictions, things like that. And then she also makes a point, page 81, 82. She also says that even in the next incarnation, the purification you do in this incarnation will be helpful. Let's read. Okay, this part I had marked for reading. Let's come to page 81, the end of page 81. All that the man can carry with him when he finally shakes off the remnants of his astral body will be the latent germs or tendencies, what we call the sanskars, which, when they can find nutrient or outlet, manifest as evil desires and passions in the astral world. But these he does take with him, and they lie latent throughout his Devachanik life. I'm sorry, I was mispronouncing. I was saying Devanchik. It is Devachanik life. So, what we are being told is that, so if you are doing sufficient purification in this lifetime, the sanskars you are carrying over into the next lifetime are also reduced. So not only your time spent in hell is reduced, but also the next incarnation will be easier. So page 82, the middle paragraph, somewhere in the second part, we are not only living in an astral body now. You can see that part. We are not only living in an astral body now, but are fashioning the type of the astral body which will be ours in another birth. One reason the more, that means one more reason, for purifying the present astral body to the utmost, using our present knowledge to ensure our future progress. That's being smart. So, further on, let's read page 83. After that, actually, what she's talking about before we read on page 83, you see, we need to not waste time. We need to realize and recognize and realize and keep reminding ourselves of our life purpose. Why are we alive? Why are we given life? What is the priority for this lifetime? And not waste time. That is sort of the thing that she's talking about. Okay, page 83, the para that begins there. Man's life is continuous, unbroken. His earth lives are linked together and not isolated. The process of purification and development are also continuous and must be carried on through many successive earth lives. So one lifetime ends or one incarnation ends, and then the next one continues the process. When we say man's life, she's talking about the soul. For the soul, this is a continuous lifetime. Somewhere she says that, page 83 at the top. We have but one life in which what we call lives are really only days. So, for the soul, at the level of the soul, one incarnation is like a day in this, in our normal incarnation, what we consider one day, for the higher soul, that is one entire life is like that. Okay, page 84. Why indeed should we prolong our bondage when it is in our own power to break it at any moment? No hand can bind us save our own, and no hand save our own can set us free. So, this is something to really internalize, that, we need to take full responsibility for our lives. Whatever weaknesses, bondages, limitations we are setting, we are responsible for that. Getting out of that is something we have to do. We have our right of choice, our freedom of will, and inasmuch as one day we shall all stand together in the higher world, why should we not begin at once to break our bonds and to claim our divine birthright? So I think good place to end today. It's almost time also.